Hello and welcome to another video on Adobe Photoshop. And today we're going to be talking about the interface or the workspace of Adobe Photoshop. So Adobe Photoshop is a tool which you can actually use to edit the photos, add some effects or crop it, or actually give it some different kinds of effects like radiant blur, all the Gaussian effect, or you can make certain objects float around or glow. So Adobe Photoshop is basically there to make your picture even better. So if you want, you can also turn the background into a blurry scape and then click your picture and keep yourself in a much more smoother state, which will give the picture a much more beautiful essence of life. So what do you think about that? It's fun, right? So to know about the Adobe Photoshop tool, you basically have to know about all the interfaces and all the tools or the effects that the Adobe Photoshop tool is providing for you. So let's get it on with right now and let's talk about the interface of the Adobe Photoshop tool. So basically, all of this that you can see over here is the interface of the Adobe Photoshop tool. So this is the main menu bar of the Adobe Photoshop tool, and you simply can use it to control the whole of the interface or the workspace over here, like the file, edit, image, layer, type, select, filter, 3D, view, plugins, window, help, and there are some other options over here like these ones where my mouse cursor is moving around. These options are actually connected to the main tools over here. Yes, this portion of the Adobe Photoshop tool is known as the main tool. We will learn about the main tool soon in some another video, but now let's focus on the interface over here. So now that we have learned about the main menu and the main tool, let's talk about these icons over here. So as I have said before that these icons are basically connected to the tools over here because every tool has some different features, different classifications, which will help you to enhance the picture in a much more greater way. So these tools will change when you actually change the main tools. So now as I'm selecting this one, I can select another one and you will see that the tools have changed, right? Like this, because it was like this in the first time and now it's like this. And if you change the tools like this and this, you will see that this bar will clearly change its features and effects according to the tool's needs and wants. So now let me introduce you to the panel window of the Adobe Photoshop tool. So this is the panel window, and all of these things over here that is differentiating one feature from another is basically the panel. So this is the panel tool, this is the layer panel, this is the channels panel, and this is the paths panel. So there are lots of panels over here, like you can use the properties to transform some images according to their width and height. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the width as this is the height. Then there is the align and distribution option over here. You can simply align any text or any pictures that you're adding according to its need. Then there is the quick action overview. So You can basically get a lot of features from this panel. Then there is the adjustment panel, and you can actually add an adjustment in the picture using this panel. So as you can see that there are a lot of features available over here for you that has been provided by the Adobe Photoshop. So now I'm going to show you how the Adobe Photoshop tool will look like when you actually open it up for the first time. So to go back, I simply have to click this home icon over here. And when I've clicked it, I have got another interface over here. So this interface is the actual interface that you will get when you open up Adobe Photoshop for the first time. So you can use the new file option or the open option. Then there are the option for your files or the files shared with you. And you also have the option to check out the files that you have deleted. So as I was working with this file, I will continue to work with this file. So if you want, you can also create a new file by clicking on this new file option like this. And then you'll get a pop-up window which will give you a variety of options to choose from this custom size or the default Photoshop size or the clipboard size. So these are not just names, they also have the ratio that the window will preview it. Like the clipboard option is 1920 by 1080 and the default Photoshop size is 7 by 5. While there is a custom option over here which you can use to make a page on your custom size based on whatever you want. And then you have the naming option. You can name something in any way you want. For this, I think I'm going to name it lesson like this. And then the width of the document should be 1920. Yes, okay. The height is 1080. You can change it to any way you want or any value that you want, but I'm going to be keeping it in this value. And then there is the resolution over here. So there is the color mode, then the bit option, then the white option. So this is basically the only thing that you gotta make sure that you have checked. For example, this will give you a background content of this color appearing over here. So let me create one and I will show you. Like, look at this one. So when you actually create something new, you will get the option to create it in a customized way or the default Photoshop way, or you can actually change the color of the background if you want. So for example, if I want, I can change the color of the background to the black, but before that I have to create another file over here. So let's get back and create a new background for our preview window over here. So I'm going to click on this home icon again, and then I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to use the default Photoshop size. Okay, so this is the default Photoshop size. The resolution should be 300. Okay, color mode. Okay, so I'm going to change the color of the background now. So I'm simply going to use black, and that is how you actually change the color of the background over here. So now that we have created another background in the color black, now you can see that I have three options over here, which one of them is untitled 2, then untitled 1, and then the file that we have created over here with the name lesson. So when you create a new folder while working on another one, it will give you this option over here like this. So as you can see that when we first started the video, I had a picture over here, and which is this one as you can see. So there are four panels over here, and one of them was the picture that I have begun the video with. And then when we created another composition which was white background, then the one that I showed you, which is the clipboard size Photoshop. And then there is the untitled 2 with the black background that we have created. So you gotta remember one thing, that all of these are different layers as you can see, and you have the option to work on them differently. But you can simply multitask where you were working on out of Photoshop. So, for example, you were working on this, but you want to composite this with another layer, which is the lesson layer over here. So, you can also work on this separately by using this panel, and by using this panel, you can work on this separately in a specific way if you want. So, because when you are actually inside this panel, your layers or channels or path or everything that you have will be related to this picture over here in the panel of this one. So now if you want to work with the lesson panel, you will get another layer option over here. The background, as you can see, the thumbnail is white, and when we work on this, the thumbnail over here was the actual picture of the preview panel over here right now. So now that we have the black composition selected, the thumbnail is black, and you can see that the layer is different. And all of these panels over here, the effects and everything that you work on will be based on this panel over here and this preview window. So if you want to work on any other panels like this one, or this one, you simply have to click on it like this. Is that clear? So now that we have learned about those, now let's talk about the workspace editing that you would like to have. So sometimes you will see that the screen that you are working on is very small. So this is how I actually want my workspace to be, because this is very small in size and it's pretty efficient for my display right now. So if I want, I can actually expand this panel sector over here by clicking on this small two arrow option. So when you actually hover over the option, you will get to see that it's written expand panels. So you can simply click on it, and there will be another layer of panels, and you can work on them. So like as you can see that all we had was properties, adjustment, libraries, layers, channels, and paths. But now we have the history, and then the brush shadings, and then the brushes. So you can simply use this option again to collapse the icon like this. In the same way, you can use this option over here, which is known as collapse to icon. So when you actually click on this, you will see that all the panels that you had before has just turned into normal icons, making the workspace much more bigger than the usual ones. So as you can see that we all had these options over there. Now if you click on them, the options that was available at that time will pop up like this, and you can also work on the adjustment or the libraries just like this. And if you want to see the panels all the time, you simply have to click on this one, and you will get the panels as you desired it to be over here and over here. And You can also undock the panels over here by editing the workspace in any way you want. I'm going to show that in a later one, but now I'm going to show you something that will blow your mind off because it's pretty easy and people think that in the Adobe Photoshop tool it's pretty hard to find the tools or the panels that you want to work with, but it's actually not. For example, I don't want the layer option now. I'm going to close it like this, and then you can see that the layer panel from this panel window is gone. It's because I have closed it. Because I want some more space and I don't want that to become an obstacle while I'm working on some other effects. So since I've closed it, there might be a chance that I need it again. So what can I do at that time? So for that time, what I can do is I can simply go to this window option over here, which is on the main menu option. You can simply left click on it, and then you will see a lot of options over here, as you can see. So as you can see that the channels option has a tick mark on it. That's because the channel option is presented over here in the panel window. In the same way, the properties window is check marked because it is over here. Then there is the adjustment window over here. Then the libraries over here, and we have the path, the options, the tools. All of this has been selected over here. So now what I want is layers, right? So here is the layers panel over here. I can simply left click on it and you will see that the layer panel has been restored over here again. In the same way, you can close any other panels and you can go to the window option over here and basically just give it back over here like this. So this is how you can actually work. So you can basically do whatever you want over here. It's pretty easy. So to do this, you simply have to make sure that there are some options over here, because when you actually close them, you actually close them, but also you have the options to minimize them. Like if I want, I can minimize this one. So when you right click on the panel, you'll get the option to minimize it. Left click on it and you will see that the panels have been minimized over here, and you can use them like this and this. So you can actually minimize them again in a new way like this, and you can use this right click option to expand the tab group like this. It's that easy. So many people actually likes to customize the workplace according to their needs and efficiency. So to do that, you can simply work around like this over here by you can take one of the panels over here and the other one over here or here. You can basically use the whole interface as a place to make your work much more easier. For example, so now if I want, I can actually take one of the panels and put it over here or put another panel over here based on how I need to work and if it will be easier for me. So let me show it to you. So like let me drag simply like this over here and drag this one simply like this over here as I have suggested. So you can simply just click on an panel and drag it anywhere you want to put it. So that's pretty easy like that. And if you want, you also have the option to customize the panels in any way you want. So let me show you how to do that. So basically you have to take your mouse cursor to the edge of the panels. When the cursor change its icon to a double arrow, then you can simply drag it like this and enhance or expand its size. Then you can make it larger like this. So that's how I think that it's pretty easy to do it. And you can also work on it like this. So these are the basic workspace that you will need over here. So now I'm going to undo all of them like this. It's pretty easy over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer option over here since I have cut it down. So here is the layers option here. So now what I want is I can put it over here like this. It's pretty normal. So now what I can do is I can basically do it like this. So when you actually cut down the layer panel, you'll see that the window preview will not show you the component that you have put in the layer panel. It's because the layer panel is the utmost vital point of editing in Adobe Photoshop, because the layer is basically the thing which you are using to edit the photos, to make sure that every single component in the photo is accessible to you. So now let's talk about the workplace and how to edit the workplace so easily by using the window option. So you simply click on the window option and you'll get an option for workspace. Remember, all of these over here, these options are for the panel window, and the workspace is basically for the whole Adobe Photoshop tool. So as you can see that my essential workspace is on the default mode, and yes, I am fond of the essential workspace over here. So if you want, you can change your workspace to the work that you are working on. For example, that if you're working on a 3D effect, you can simply use that one, and you will get some 3D options over here. So if you want to work on graphics and web, you will get the panels for the graphics and web options over here. And then there is the motion option, which will give you the histogram and the info, the basic panels that are needed for motion graphics effects and editings. And then there is the painting option, which gives you the panels to paint, the swatches or the navigator, the colors, the brushes. So it's pretty simple. Like, you will get some workspace, and when you use that of Photoshop, you will be able to customize your workspace based on the works that you are doing. So Adobe Photoshop has already gave you some default workspace for photography, painting, motion, graphics and web and 3D. All I want to work with is the essential one. So let me just choose this one, and as you can see that it has been reverted to the way that I wanted. So now let me tell you another thing. You click on the window option, the workspace option. So now that we've talked about all of these, let's talk about this. So if you want, when you actually changed something, like for example, let me drag the layer options out, the channels options out, the path options out, the swatches options out, the gradients out, the patterns out. So now you simply can go to this option, the workspace, and reset essentials. Since essentials is your default workspace, it will also take it back to the actual adjustments on it was. You can also delete a workspace using this option, and you can also create a new workspace, a customized workspace that will be suitable for your working needs. As Adobe Photoshop has given some perfectly great workspaces, you can create a new workspace if you want. Then there is the option to delete the workspaces. Then there is the option to lock the workspace. And there are some keyboard shortcuts and menus. So basically what these things does is you can create a keyboard shortcut or anything that you want for the options that are over here. Like if you want, you can select file and click on a keyboard hotkey to make it a shortcut for this option. So this is pretty easy right now, and I think that would be enough for the interface lesson right now. So I hope to see you soon.